MPL presents Crickbuzz Live, and the operational number there was the fact that they finished in the 130s. Now, there's two parts to that. One is the score they finished with. Two, from the Kolkata Knight Riders' point of view, that's pretty much the region of the quickest ball delivered, with the exception of a couple maybe from Prasidh Krishna. Harry Gurney in the side for Lockie Ferguson, and all the spinners keeping it slow, with one exception from Piyush Chawla at 120, which was his change-up. 139 for 3, and you could see it was a strategy that kept them down to that total. Or was it a kind of total that the Rajasthan Royals on that surface would settle for? Brilliant innings from Steve Smith, actually getting them there. And another question mark, of course, about where Ben Stokes batted. Joy Bhattacharya, first Michael Vaughan. You'll have to say that's a total we can't read too much into, because Rajasthan, towards the end, seem as if they were fairly satisfied with getting there.
Yeah, I think they'll be happy with that score. I mean, it's a very slow wicket. We're seeing plenty of spin. We're seeing those cutters from the seamers hold up into the surface. It's not looked at all easy for anyone trying to time the ball. It took Steve Smith plenty of balls to just get used to the conditions. Then he started to use his real skill. Josh Buttler, who's a terrific striker of a cricket ball, he really didn't quite get going, even though he got quite a nice score. And Ben Stokes, I just think Rajasthan are getting it wrong with Ben Stokes. You know, they've paid all this money for him. He's not the kind of player that will do a Dre Russ, will do a Kieran Pollard or a Hardik Pandya, coming in over the last 3 overs and smash you to all parts. He's a proper batsman that needs to be higher up the order. I'd put him in at number 3 in this Rajasthan Royals team, left hand, right hand. There's not enough left-handers in that top order. Just change it up somewhat and give him more of an opportunity to get in and then explode towards the end. But you know, I think the celebration from that 20 overs will be Australia. The fact that Steve Smith's just shown that elbow, I'd had concerns about that elbow in the first few games that I'd seen, but that huge 6 that he hit over mid-wicket, that went miles. That elbow must be okay for him to strike 73 from 59. You know, that 6 was the real moment, because I'd seen him try to hit a couple of big balls previously, and the balls had been going nowhere, particularly down the ground. Square of the wicket, he'd been able to use his skill in his hands. We always know he can do that, but that elbow for me was a concern until I saw that huge ball. I thought, wait a minute, he's back. Warner's back, Smith's back.
Yeah, they probably felt, though, the Rajasthan management, that Stokes could do a Dre Russ, which is why they kept him, and it just needed 1 6 from him, and you'd be sitting on that MPL super couch.
No, I mean, I'm just disappointed. Rather than give him the blame, I'd blame them for putting in Rahul Tripathi. I mean, when you have an established international batsman who's a clean striker of the ball, already 12-13 overs are over, who do you put in? Do you put him in, or do you put the young guy in who hasn't ever played an international match in his life? Ben Stokes is a better striker of the ball. He deserves to come in earlier.
Got an IPL 100.
Absolutely, and you need to give him time. You need to give him time, especially when your guys have already played slowly and build up a foundation. The pitch is slow. That means even good players need time to adjust. What do? You give the good players more time. Why do you stick in Rahul Tripathi in the middle of that? The only other good thing I can say about this is that Kolkata has finally found the last piece of that combination. Lockie Ferguson was not particularly working out. Harry Gurney, I think, is a brilliant buy for them.
Yeah, another great debut, as you can see. We've had a brilliant one from Alzari Joseph last night. Rahul Chahar as well. Kugelheim, well, not the best start to it, but at least showed his wares towards the end of the game. But 2 for 25, Michael, is exactly what we expected from him.
Yeah, I mean, Harry, it doesn't surprise me, particularly on a wicket like this. This is where he's at his best, on a slow wicket, where his cutters can really grip, where his back of the hand slow ball can kind of get a bit of bounce. And then he fires in that Yorker. I actually thought he got it wrong in the last over, putting too much pace on, allowing Steve Smith to deflect it. But 2 for 25 off his 4. It doesn't surprise me at all that Harry Gurney's produced those kind of numbers, because he is high class in this format of the game. So, Lockie Ferguson, I think he might be sat in that dugout for a few games, I'm afraid.
Yeah, absolutely. And see, the thing about it is, the rest of it is what you call a typical controlled Kolkata bowling performance. These guys, these 3 spinners have been bowling for them for the last 5 years. Each of them knows exactly their part, whether they have to bowl in the power play, they don't give you any pace of the ball. No freebies. That's the thing about them. So what happens is, the real test is going to be now. Because if you compare them to, say, the spinners from Rajasthan, the Rajasthan spinners are good, but they are untested spinners. They might be tempted to, float it up a bit. The Kolkata spinners know exactly what they're doing, and they've done their job. So it will be an interesting one, because I feel the relative inexperience of the Rajasthan spinners could cost them today.
What it's also done is it's done a lot of good for international relations between nations who not necessarily always seen eye to eye even on a sporting field. We talked about it with Bairstow and Warner, and today once again it was England and Australia combining to get them some respectability, and this was the partnership they did. Joss Butler, who was always going to be key, they would have wanted him to bat a little bit longer, but that partnership was the foundation.
Yeah, and the fact that Butler really struggled just kind of give me the indication that the pitch isn't a great one. So 139 I think is very competitive. I think KKR will come out and try and knock the top of it in the first 6. You know, really try and dislodge 50 or 60 in the first 6 overs. 2 fielders out. That's the opportunity that you have with a fresh new ball. You know, the way that Rajasthan played the first 6 was almost circumspect, just having a look to try and assess the conditions and then work out a number. Well, when you're only chasing 140 to win, you have a great opportunity of risking. Narine goes in the first 6 and gets off to a flyer. Well, they could go well on the way to winning the game, but there will be wickets. You know, you feel that it's the kind of pitch that if you take on too many risks, there'll be balls that fly in the air. And if Rajasthan hold the chances and create a little bit of a buzz in the inner foot circle and create a little bit of doubt in the KKR batsman's mind, and the spinners bowl well, I do think it's going to be a tight game.
But I think the point Joy makes, I just want to get you into that about the relative inexperience. Yes, it's one thing to have 3 spinners in your side or even 4, but the point is you've got one guy who's never played before. So that might be a factor. Yeah,
Gopal and Gotham bowled really well in the last game, so that in the back of their minds will give them confidence that they've bowled well just in the last game on this venue. I know the pitch is probably a few yards away from where they bowled last time, but you know, they're in form. The fact that they've got them at one stage, it looked like they were going to get about 120, which I don't think would have been enough for those 3 spinners to bowl to. But 140 just gives them a little bit of breathing spell. You know, it's going to be those first 6 overs. Which of the 3 spinners, of which 2 or 3 of the spinners will bowl in that first 6? Because you can't just bowl the pacers in the first 6. They're going to have to gamble on the spinners, and will the inexperience of those spinners get shown up in the first 6 overs when there's only 2 fielders outside the circle?
Where do you get in someone like Sudeshan Midhun playing his first game? Where would you throw in the ball?
Interesting one. I mean, I can't see him. I think putting him in the power play may be too much. And Gautam is used to bowling the power play. Gautam actually does it for his state team as well. I think the interesting one will also be where do you put Jofra Archer? Because see, Dhaval Kulkarni is a guy who goes for runs. Jofra Archer is the most superior bowler. But Jofra Archer has a lot of pace. And a lot of pace out here is both a plus and a minus. So, you know, he could go also. You know, somebody, you get a couple of hits, contacts. Sunil Narine has good hands. So does, you know, Chris Lynn. So that's the thing. Do you hold back Jofra Archer, or do you throw him in right at the start and say, okay, he's my best game. He's my best chance to get a couple of wickets. Because Sunil Narine, you know, to hit Jofra Archer at full pace is not the easiest thing in the world.
And the last time they tried, a team tried an untried spinner against Sunil Narine, he went for 24, Varun Chakravarti. So they will be a little wary about how they use this newcomer, Sudeshan Midhun.
Yeah, I would think that Jofra Archer will take the first over and try and dislodge.
Yeah, I think so.
Narine,
I don't think
I would have thought so. But they'll also want spin to Chris Lynn. They won't want to put too much pace on the board of Chris Lynn because that's what he fancies. So it's one of those kind of decisions of the captain. Do you go for Narine or do you go for Lynn? I think they're going to have to be very clever, Rajasthan. They'll have to go with Jofra Archer somewhere in those first 2 overs to try and dislodge of Narine, and then it'll be Gotham, it'll be probably Gopal in those first 6 just to try and get wickets. To really restrict a team from getting 140, you have to be getting wickets early to put them under pressure. So that'll be the challenge for Ajinkya Rahane, is to try and create that doubt in the KKR batsman's mind.
And they'll be hoping that Russell isn't, I mean, both teams in a sense will be hoping Russell isn't a factor. Rajasthan hoping that he doesn't come in early enough to cause any damage, and KKR will be hoping they can finish it before. Give him a break today.
Yeah, I think they need to, because, you know, face it, the law of averages will catch up with you at some point in time. So I think the rest of the batting order needs to show that they can stand up and be counted. Maybe because this is a ground for you to, exactly as you said, if they go hard in the first 6, get 45, 50, 55, set it up for the rest, I think they have a very good chance of. And people like Robin who play well, Robin has shown signs of form. Nitish Rana has been in good form. Those guys just need to come to the party today.
One thing's for sure, if Harry Gurney gets his pads on, they're struggling. He can't bat. If it gets down to the Gurney, game over.
Oh, yeah. Tip and run. What is it? Tap and run. I keep calling it tip and run. Tap and run.
Dinesh Karthik will be very important for KKR because he's a busy cricketer. He's a kind of batsman on this kind of wicket that you need, someone that'll hit it into the gaps, run ones, quick twos, play a sweep shot, a reverse sweep. It's the kind of wicket that you need to be a little bit innovative in the way that you play.
Yeah, he is seen as the finisher, and he probably needs to do the kind of Shreyas Iyer role as captain. Maybe not got as many runs as he would have liked this season. So again, we talked about Shreyas Iyer needing a 70 not out. He nearly got there, 67. Yeah. But that's the sort of role KKR will be hoping for Dinesh Karthik to play around all the other in-form batsmen. Where does the points table lie? What will happen at the end of this game? We know KKR in the top 4. They'll stay there. They'll get, looking at that net run rate, they will get to the top of the table if they win, very clearly. But if Rajasthan win, now they'll only get to 4th. They're not going to climb any higher in that position. And KKR will, they could come down to 4th, depending on the net run rate, if it changes enough, having lost the game.
Yeah, I think, but it's Rajasthan's game. Rajasthan is under the pump right now. It's not KKR under the pump. Rajasthan losing 1-4 your season begins to look very bleak. So they'll be the slightly more panicked side. I think KKR right now is a solid side, and they're telling themselves, okay, we've now got one more established bowler who's probably going to give us really good service this IPL. So I think they'll be looking at it from a much more positive point of view. Rajasthan has to pull something out.
Well, they have to win. You look at that league. You don't want to be chasing 2 places above you with 5-6 games gone. It's it's a must-win game for me with Rajasthan Royals. When you think that Ben Stokes, Jofra Archer, Josh Butler will be leaving in about 14 days time. They've gone, they're going to the World Cup, and they're going to take some replacing. So this is a must-win game for me, for Rajasthan.
Certainly is, but will it happen or won't it happen? Just before we wrap up MPL Presents Crickbuzz Combox, we have not seen the MPL Super Couch make an appearance today. Can we have one final appearance to wrap up this weekend? So, gentlemen, it's got to be who's going to win, and therefore, if it's a margin, depending on which side you figure. 140 to get.
KKR 17th.
KKR 17th.
I'm going to go the Royals.
Oh, no, I like it.
I'm going the Royals by 10. No idea why.
Why not?
I'm staying loyal to my English friends.
Fair enough. Royals by 10. I'm also leaning purplewards again, except being a slow pitch, they'll take their time, and I'm going KKR in the 19th. KKR in the 19th. So 17th, 19th, and we've got Michael Vaughan going for the Royals by 10. We'll try and see which direction that couch is heading after 10 overs. That will be Crickbuzz Combox. And then one final time, it's going to be MPL Presents Crickbuzz Live at the end of this long weekend.